44. The Dharma body in primal cycle meets the force of the cart. The mind, riding monstrous deviates, crosses the spine ridge pass. The poem says, to seek scriptures and freedom they go to the west. An endless toil through countless mounts of fame. The days fly by like darting hares and crows. As petals fall and birds sing the seasons go. A little dust the eye reveals 3,000 worlds. The priestly staff its head has seen 400 isles. They feed on wind and rest on dew to seek their goal. Not knowing which day they may all return. We were telling you about Tripitaka Tang and his disciples, who found the main road to the west. Truly they had to face the wind and brave the snow, to be capped by the moon and cloaked by the stars. They journeyed for a long time, and soon it was the time of early spring. You see, the cycled return of Triple Yang. The radiance of all things. The cycled return of Triple Yang makes all heavens beguiling like a painted scroll. The radiance of all things means flowers spread brocade through all the earth. The plums fade to a few specks of snow. The grains swell with the valley clouds. Ice breaks gradually and mountain streams flow. Seedlings sprout completely and unparched. Truly it is that. The god of the year rides forth. The god of the woods takes a drive. Warm breezes waft floral fragrance. Light clouds renew the light of the sun. Willows by the wayside spread their curvate green. The rains give life. All things bear the looks of spring. As master and disciples traveled slowly along the road, enjoying the scenery as they proceeded, they suddenly heard a loud cry that seemed the roar of 10,000 voices. Tripitaka Tang was so startled that he immediately pulled in his reins and refused to go forward. Turning back, he said, Wukong, where did that terrible din come from? Yes, it sounded as if the earth were splitting apart and the mountains were toppling. Said 8 rules. More like the crack of thunder, I'd say. Said Sha Monk. Tripitaka said, I still think it's men shouting or horses neighing. With a chuckle, Pilgrim Sun said, none of you has guessed correctly. Stop here and let Old Monkey go take a look. Dear Pilgrim. He leapt up at once and rose into midair, treading on the cloudy luminosity. He peered into the distance and discovered a moated city. When he looked more carefully, he saw that it was veiled by auspicious luminosity after all, and not by any baleful vapor. This is a nice place. Pilgrim thought to himself. Why should there be such an ear-splitting roar? There are no banners or spears in sight in the city, and what we heard couldn't possibly be the roar of cannons. Why is it then that we hear this hubbub of men and horses? As he was thus thinking to himself, a large group of monks came into his sight. On a sandy beach outside the city gate, they were trying to pull a cart up a steep ridge. As they strained and tugged, they cried out in unison to call on the name of the Bodhisattva King Powerful for help, and this was the noise that startled the Tang monk. Pilgrim lowered his cloud gradually to take a closer look. Aha! The cart was loaded with bricks, tiles, timber, earth clods, and the like. The ridge was exceedingly tall, and leading up to it was a small spine-like path flanked by 2 perpendicular passes, with walls like 2 giant cliffs. How could the cart possibly be dragged up there? Though it was such a fine warm day that one would expect people to dress lightly, what the monks had on were virtually rags. They looked destitute indeed. Pilgrim thought to himself, I suppose they must be trying to build or repair a monastery. And since a region like this undoubtedly yields a bountiful harvest, it must be difficult for them to find part-time laborers. That's why these monks themselves have to work so hard. As he was thus speculating, he saw 2 young Taoists swagger out of the city gate. How were they dressed? You ask. Star caps crowned their heads. Brocades draped their bodies. Luminous star caps crowned their heads. Colorful brocades draped their bodies. Cloud-headed boots held up their feet. Fine silk sashes tied up their waists. Like full moons their faces were handsome and bright. They had the fair forms of jade heaven gods. When the monks saw the two Taoists, they were terrified. Every one of them redoubled his effort to pull desperately at the cart. "So, that's it," said Pilgrim, comprehending the situation all at once. "These monks must be awfully afraid of the Taoists, for if not, why should they be tugging so hard at the carts? I have heard someone say that there is a place on the road to the west where Taoism is revered and Buddhism is set for destruction. This must be the place. I would like to go back and report this to Master, but I still don't know the whole truth, and he might blame me for bringing him surmises, saying that even a smart person like me can't be counted on for a reliable report. Let me go down there and question them thoroughly before I give Master an answer." Whom would he question, you ask? Dear great sage. He lowered his cloud, and with a shake of his torso, he changed at the foot of the city into a mendicant Taoist of the complete truth order, with an exorcist hamper hung on his left arm. Striking a hollow wooden fish with his hands and chanting lyrics of Taoist themes, he walked up to the two Taoists near the city gate. "Masters," he said, bowing. This humble Taoist raises his hand. Returning his salute, one of the Taoists said, "Sir, where did you come from?" "This disciple," said Pilgrim, "has wandered to the corners of the sea and to the edges of heaven. I arrived here this morning with the sole purpose of collecting subscriptions for good works. May I ask the two masters which street in this city is favorable toward the Tao, and which alley is inclined toward piety? This humble Taoist would like to go there and beg for some vegetarian food." Smiling, the Taoist said, "Oh sir, why do you speak in such a disgraceful manner?" "What do you mean by disgraceful?" asked Pilgrim. "If you want to beg for vegetarian food," said the Taoist. "Isn't that disgraceful?" Pilgrim said, "Those who have left the family live by begging. If I didn't beg, where would I have money to buy food?" Chuckling, the Taoist said, "You've come from afar, and you don't know anything about our city. In this city of ours, not only the civil and military officials are fond of the Tao, the rich merchants and men of prominence devoted to piety, but even the ordinary citizens, young and old, will bow to present us once they see us. It is, in fact, a trivial matter, hardly worth mentioning. What's most important about our city is that His Majesty, the King, is also fond of the Tao and devoted to piety. This humble cleric is first of all quite young," said Pilgrim. "And second, he is indeed from afar. In truth, I'm ignorant of the situation here. May I trouble the two masters to tell me the name of this place, and give me a thorough account of how the king has come to be so devoted to the cause of Tao for the sake of fraternal feelings among us Taoists?" The Taoist said, "This city has the name of the Cart-Slow Kingdom, and the ruler on the precious throne is a relative of ours." When Pilgrim heard these words, he broke into loud guffaws, saying, "I suppose that a Taoist has become king." "No," said the Taoist. "What happened was that 20 years ago, this region had a drought, so severe that not a single drop of rain fell from the sky and all grains and plants perished. The king and his subjects, the rich as well as the poor, every person was burning incense and praying to heaven for relief. Just when it seemed that nothing else could preserve their lives, 3 immortals suddenly descended from the sky and saved us all." "Who were these immortals?" asked Pilgrim. "Our masters," said the Taoist. "What are their names?" asked Pilgrim. The Taoist replied, "The eldest master is called the Tiger Strength Great Immortal. The second master, the Deer Strength Great Immortal. And the third master, Goat Strength Great Immortal." "What kinds of magic power do your esteemed teachers possess?" asked Pilgrim. The Taoist said, "Summoning the wind and the rain for my masters would be as easy as flipping over one's palms. They point at water and it will change into oil. They touch stones and change them into gold, as quickly as one turns over in bed. With this kind of magic power, they are thus able to rob the creative genius of heaven and earth, to alter the mysteries of the stars and constellations. The king and his subjects have such profound respect for them that all of us Taoists are claimed as royal kin. Pilgrim said, "This ruler is lucky, all right. After all, the proverb says, magic moves ministers. He certainly can't lose to claim kinship with your old masters, if they possess such powers. Alas! I wonder if I had even the tiniest spark of affinity, such that I could have an audience with the old masters." Chuckling, the Taoist replied, "If you want to see our masters, it's not difficult at all. The two of us are their bosom disciples. Moreover, our masters are so devoted to the way and so deferential to the pious, that the mere mention of the word Tao would bring them out of the door, full of welcome. If we too were to introduce you, we would need to exert ourselves no more vigorously than to blow away some ashes." Bowing deeply, Pilgrim said, "I am indebted to you for your introduction. Let us go into the city, then." "Let's wait a moment," said one of the Taoists. "You sit here while we two finish our official business first. Then we'll go with you." Pilgrim said, "Those of us who have left the family are without cares or ties. We are completely free." "What do you mean by official business?" The Taoist pointed with his finger at the monks on the beach and said, "Their work happens to be the means of livelihood for us. Lest they become indolent, we have come to check them off the roll before we go with you." Smiling, Pilgrim said, "You must be mistaken, masters.